everybody. Welcome back to the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle, brought to you by Citizens Medical Center. I'm your host, Chris Daly, and we have a great show for you this week. As you know, the Huddle is brought to you by Citizens Medical Center. One of the very cool things about the Medical Center is the Healthplex. Citizens Healthplex is Victoria's premier medical fitness and wellness facility. If your goal is to improve your health, prevent disease, help you get strong and fit, or just be well, Citizens Healthplex is for you. In fact, it's for me too. You'll probably see me and my wife there. Their 7,200 square foot facility has everything you need to maximize your enjoyment and get results. They offer all the space, equipment, and classes you'll ever need to get fit and healthy, including a large array of strength and cardio equipment, over 75 classes per week, a degreed and certified fitness staff offering professional instruction. Oh, and if you need to relax, try the steam rooms, whirlpools, dry saunas, and massage therapy. You want to lose weight? Hire one of the personal trainers to work with you one-on-one, and you're sure to see the results you want. Your journey to improved health, fitness, and wellness begins at Citizens Healthplex.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh MediaWorks. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh MediaWorks. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Mike Foreman from the Victoria Advocate. Mike, how are you doing today? It sure is hot, right?
Yeah, I'm out here in Ganado, and boy, it's hot. Temperature said 93. It sure feels hotter. That sun is really beating down today.
Oh, yeah, it is crazy. Let's talk about last week. I tell you, I watched the Yoakum-Cuero game. That was one heck of a game.
Yeah, that was crazy, wasn't it? 61-49.
Yeah.
I know not a lot of defense, huh?
No, and the thing that I noticed was I thought Yoakum could have easily won that game. I thought they played better. I thought they had better-looking athletes, but the breaks seemed to go the right way and hand it to Cuero. They stood up when they needed to.
Yeah, in fact, I was speaking to Brian Jones from Yoakum. He said they turned the ball over 4 times. He said they killed them. And but like you said, you got to give credit to Cuero for taking advantage of that. And of course, Jackson Marie, what can you say? I mean, responsible for 9 touchdowns.
He's a beast.
I know, 5 touchdown passes, 4 touchdown runs. I mean, God, just an incredible game. I think it was close to 400 yards of passing and rushing there. So, I think who was telling me that they had there was over 600 yards of offense in the first half or something. So
I believe it. I don't know exactly, but I would believe that because it was intense. Yeah,
it was crazy. That seems to be the way of the world, you know. I mean, offenses are just, with the rare exception, offenses are just pretty much, dominating what's going on.
Yeah, and that's why I saw a couple games this last week around the state that were shutouts, and that just blew me away. It's like nobody gets shutouts anymore.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny. I was in Cuero yesterday, actually, and I talked to their coach, Jared Peacock, and I was asking him about tackling because, I mean, I have seen some very poor tackling in the first 3 weeks. And I asked him, I said, it's not just you, not just Cuero. I said, it seems to be all around. And I wonder if some of these restrictions, and the amount of contact you can have and all this, I'm wondering if that has had an effect. Obviously there are certain things they do for safety reasons, which
right.
I totally understand and is a good thing. But I have been just not very impressed with the tackling I've seen.
I agree. I've seen the same thing, and I just chalked it up to these guys just weren't ready to play. But you're right. This time, most seasons, they're tackling better.
Yeah, and it's funny though. I was talking with Jeff Ray, who played on the 73 and 74 Cuero State Championship teams. They're the 74 team is holding their 50-year reunion this weekend. But he was telling me that in 74, Cuero had 9 shutouts, and their opponents averaged less than a touchdown per game. And, but then again, like he said, it's a different game today. You have the rules are more structured in favor of the offense. And I think obviously you have better athletes, that they're bigger, stronger, and that plays into it too. So, and back then, at least that I remember in the 70s, I don't think anybody was running the spread in the 70s.
No.
But, so it's a different game now, and players and coaches just have to adapt. That's just kind of the way it is right now.
That's true. So let's jump to some of the other games around the region. The one you were at, some of the other scores we saw.
Yeah, I saw Edna and Refugio, and that was it was a competitive game. It was a sloppy game, to tell you the truth. And it was pretty weird. Both teams ended up with 12 penalties for 107 yards. And penalties played a big role for both sides in that game. There was also, I think, there was 3 turnovers. The big one, of course, for Refugio on their first play from scrimmage when they fumbled, and Edna player picked it up and scored. That turned out to be the difference. But Edna also put the ball on the ground twice so that Refugio recovered. My takeaway from that game is those were 2 really good teams. And from what I've seen from Edna, they are good up front. And, of course, Braylon Harris, he's just an exceptional player. And he's going to be very difficult for anyone to contain because they'll move him around and line him up. And, and Chase Schubert has done a good job of running the offense. He got away with a few things the other night. There were some passes that were almost intercepted. They could have been intercepted. It probably might have turned that game around. But for the most part, he's playing turnover free. He's finding his receivers. And the big thing for Edna, I think that the challenge is that they really haven't found a running back. And if they can find a running back that they can consistently run the ball, they're going to be very hard to deal with. And on the other side for Refugio, my question mark with them is still their secondary. They're still having issues back there. But if they can somehow work that out, they're going to be a load because, man, I want to tell you what, that offense, Jordan King is just a beast. And
he's one of my favorite area running backs.
Yeah, and he's not their only one. They have Ray Lewis and Xander Wills, but King is just his thighs are huge, and it's hard to bring him down. And the problem is if he gets behind you, you're not going to catch him. So
no, he's lightning fast.
Yeah, so they've got, and their RPO game is a lot better than I suspected. I was impressed with that. I thought they did a good job of that. So, this week Refugio plays Cypress Christian. I have no idea. But after that, until they get to the playoffs, I really don't see anybody really challenging them. So I think that was a very important game for both teams, really. Edna obviously has got Goliad on the schedule. But that district, I other than Goliad, and I don't know if anyone can challenge him in that district.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
and of course, the big news for us was that Victoria East got its first win, beat GP, and from what Gabe Myers, who covered the game, told me, that was not a fluke. That East deserved to win that game. So that's good news for them, especially, they start district play this week. Mm-hmm. And they open with Seguin, which is probably, of all the teams in that district, that may be their most winnable game.
Right.
So we'll see if they can carry the success they had over, into the next one. I don't know if there are any real surprise. What surprised me, though, to tell you, is that Shiner played Post really close. I think it was 21-14. Shiner they've struggled offensively. And obviously they must be getting better on defense if they could contain Post. So,
well, my thought there was that Post may be coming back down to earth, too, and not the superpower that they have been.
Right, that you could be right there, because I'm really not sure. We'll see when they go in the district. I don't really foresee Post having any issues going in the district. I thought maybe Stockdale might be a little better, but then Fall City handled Stockdale fairly well. So I don't see Post having much issue in district. You know what else is kind of surprising me, and I'm curious. Rice Consolidated has not allowed a point in their first 3 games.
Really?
Yeah. Now, granted, maybe they haven't played the toughest of schedules. I know they played East Chambers. Last week they played Weimar. But still, to shut out 3 straight opponents and Shiner, too. To shut out 3 straight opponents is impressive. So they've got Rice has Hallettsville this week, so that could be interesting. But, Hallettsville suffered its first loss against Tidehaven. And in fact, I'm out here at Ganado, and Ganado is playing Tidehaven this week. And I'll tell you this, Josh Irvin is pretty hush-hush about whether
you have a party coming up or just want a special gift? Check out Nani's Sweeter Side. Yes, Nani's Sweeter Side makes the most amazing custom-created sugar cookies with your design. They also offer paint your own cookies and decorate your own cookies. Those make an excellent sweet activity that you can sink your teeth into at parties. Nani's also offers some of the most amazing cupcakes ever. You can check out Nani's Sweeter Side at nanisweeterside.com. That's N-A-N-I. Check her out on Facebook. Just look for Nani's Sweeter Side. Or give her a call at 937-499-4790. At Nani's Sweeter Side, you'll find that happiness is homemade.
Did you play Texas high school football? If you did, you're part of an elite group, the Brotherhood of Texas High School Football. All football players, past and present, who have ever suited up in the Lone Star State are eligible. Go to LoneStarGridiron.com/brotherhood. And thank you for the part you played in the greatest sport in the greatest state.
I'll tell you this, Josh Irvin is pretty hush-hush about whether Bryce Ullman will be back or not. So, he wouldn't commit one way or another. So, which I understand. He doesn't want Tidehaven to know. And I'm sure Tidehaven's preparing for either way. But, Tidehaven, I spoke to David Lucio today, too, and he said they're about where he thought they'd be. He said they're still not, where he wants them to be. But he thinks by the end of the year they'll be pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, that's the feeling I got with what I've seen of them. They're not the Tidehaven from a year ago, but they're going to be a good team.
And you know what? To me, what came as a shock to me is in the Texas football poll, El Campo moved to number 10.
Yeah.
Of course, they blasted Fort Bend Dulles, which I don't know how good Dulles is, but and they have Meadville this week, which this isn't the best Meadville team, although Meadville's 2-1. I'm curious about that, and then Bay City plays Sealy, which is unbeaten right now. So I think we're gonna find out some things about Bay City. I really don't know what's going on with that because, I know that this week they were able to get some rushing yards, which they haven't been, in the past. Their rushing game, both Edna and the first opponent they played pretty much shut down their rushing game. But this year they were able to get some. This last week they were able to run for quite a few yards. So that's encouraging for them. But that's something to watch for because I kind of thought Bay City was the favorite in that district going in. But now with El Campo coming on, I knew El Campo would be good, but I thought it might be another season.
Right.
Because they're still adjusting the Travis Reeves system, and that's a huge change from what they've been running. So I'm real curious about that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so what are your thoughts on Industrial Shiner? Industrial has had 3 super tough losses, and what's your take on the Shiner game?
That's interesting. I think Industrial should match up a little better against Shiner, because Shiner, I still think Shiner's going to be good eventually when they get in the district. I still think, but they against these bigger schools. In the past they've always seemed to have a guy like a Dalton Brooks or somebody that was a difference maker. And even though they've got good players, I know Quincy Jones is a decent running back, and Carson Chudy has got a lot of experience running the offense. But I don't know, and I'm curious too because Industrial, although last week's game wasn't that close against Goliad, they played everyone pretty tough. Obviously Edna going overtime. And then the next week they lost, but
Yoakum.
Yoakum. Let's face it. Yoakum's explosive, and they're huge up front. Their defense is obviously what's suspect, and I think you may see some changes over there because I was told they're going to start 2 platooning over there. I think they were trying to basically play, 1 platoon and keep a lot of their starters off the field on defense, but I guess they realize they're not going to be able to do that. So I think that's going to happen over there. I think you're going to see Yoakum and them. Yoakum has Columbia this week. I'm kind of curious to see how they do against Columbia. But it's. I don't know if, early in the year, if I can say anything that's really shocked me as to what's happened. I do know that it's funny, as far as I know, I haven't looked at, I'm missing about 5 schools, but from what I have, the leading rusher in the area is Brody Medding from Yorktown. He's got like a bunch of yards, and so I'm really curious about him. See what Yorktown can do. I just don't know if Yorktown's defense, can hold up against like Fall City and Shiner. So,
right.
But that's an improvement for them. And and how about the mighty Woodsboro Eagles, Chris? The Eagles are over 500 for the first time since 2018.
Yeah, wow. It has been a while, yeah.
That's one of those little stats that I dug up. But they've got Santa Maria, and I don't really know how good Santa Maria is. But I do know that I just, it's going to be interesting because from what I've seen, like in some of these districts, like, for instance, Ganado, so far, the only team that looks like it stood out at all that could challenge them maybe would be Schulenburg. Nobody else has really kind of stood out. And, the Edna's district, you got Goliad. So, I'm kind of waiting. An interesting district, I think, that may be the most competitive might be Tidehaven, East Bernard, Rice Consolidated, and Industrial,
Yeah.
That district could be pretty competitive.
Yeah, definitely those last couple playoff spots are going to be hotly contested for sure in that district.
Yeah, and I tell you, of course, in Ganado's district, that you do not want to get fourth. Because that's Refugio in the first round. So it's the same thing with Refugio's district. You probably don't want to get fourth because you get Ganado in the first round. So,
true.
There's a lot of this, two big games this week. I'm kind of back and forth. I've got Ganado and Tidehaven, which it's unsure whether or not, Bryce Ullman will be back or not at quarterback. And then I've got Cuero and Corpus Christi Miller because that is their 50th anniversary of the 74 state championship team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, they've got a bunch of those guys back in town. In fact, I was over there yesterday doing something on that. So, of course, now Cuero's going to have a heck of a time trying to contain Miller. I mean, Miller lost to DeSoto last week, but what I understand, they're very explosive.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not sure what game I'm interested in yet this week. As much as you wouldn't think 2 0-3 teams would be interesting. I think it might be a decent game.
Yeah, I do too. And actually, let's admit it. These, records are records, but look at these teams have played. So I mean, they're not playing teams that are easy to beat. They're playing competitive teams, and that most of them you would think would be in the playoffs. So,
and that's what non-district is all about.
Yeah, and I know, like, for instance, for Industrial, this is its last district game. It may be for Shiner, too. I'm not 100% sure about that. I have to look at the schedule. But, so definitely going to want to kind of get things together to start district.
Right. Well, cool. Once again, thank you so much for all the info. It's going to be an interesting week as usual.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this year it just seems like to me we always have 2 or 3 good games on the same week.
Right?
I know, and it's like, last week it was Yoakum, Cuero, and Edna Refugio. And, so it's hard. I think I looked ahead to next week, and that might be a week where maybe a little difficult to find something. So, it's just weird. It's just the way the schedule is. But and there's nothing obviously you can do about that. But, I'm real curious. Ganado and Refugio stayed at 2. Ganado dropped to 3 after losing East Bernard. But I think those 2 teams are going to be fine, once everybody's healthy and they get back in the district. And so, I'm curious. We'll see. We'll see, I guess. Edna's district, I believe, for the most part, everybody's off this week because they're getting ready to start district. And of course, Victoria West, I mean, you look at them. Yeah. This is their best start in a long time, too. And they have Beeville this week. So they have a really good chance to be 4-0. So, that's something. They played Beeville. Beeville got its first win last week. So that's something I'm looking at too.
Right. Well, I'm sure I will see you around somewhere, and if not, I'll talk to you next week.
Okay, Chris, I appreciate it. You take care.
You're listening to the Lone Star Gridiron Sports Network.
Hey, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I want to thank Citizens Medical Center for bringing you the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle. Please take a second to share this show with your friends and family. Like and subscribe on any major podcast platform, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle. I'm your host, Chris Daly, and I'm hoping to see you at the game.